here, but I haven't made. And, yeah, and that's it.
And I'm Cindy Freeman and just have been on the committee for a little bit and I also volunteered once in a while.
Brett Fisker, community member, committee member. Kathleen.
I am Maureen McNamara, as a community member.
Will Sudbay, been on the committee for a little while, born and raised in Vermont. Thank you.
Leo?
Nope,
You muted, so.
you muted.
I think he has to unmute on
There you go.
his side.
Yeah, okay. Leo Bisson, and I am attending remotely.
Great. Jeff?
Jeff Hawkins from the South Point Homeowners Association.
Ryan? You want to introduce yourself?
Connor?
Brian Doyle, citizen advocate.
Excellent. Well, thanks for being here today and thanks for attending. And are there any changes or additions to the agenda from board members? Anything that we want to add that's not on the agenda? Any changes?
So road needs to fill it with potholes.
We'll add that under other business for Will to note. And are there any comments from the public on items that are not on today's agenda? Okay, so I'll move on to item 2, consideration of past meeting minutes. Everyone read over the minutes. Any questions, comments? Anyone want to make a motion?
Cindy, you always make this motion.
Yeah, go ahead, send it.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay,
Second.
any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Great, thanks, Will.
Yeah.
And moving on to number 3, director update report / upcoming calendar. So I'll turn it over to you, Adam.
So I printed off the director update. There were some copies over there for you. It's been a couple months of stuff. Ryan, here's a copy of tomorrow. I think it might be out, but
Is it different or?
that's the budget. This is the update.
Thank you, sorry.
Very good. So it's been, since we didn't meet in December, there's kind of 2 months worth of stuff on there. So we kicked off Spotlight 802 with Donna Carpenter for the first one. That went well. Our next one is actually the end of the month. We have a panel of craft brewery panelists coming in on the 29th. Our Thanksgiving dinner, we did 2 split dinners. Each had 75 people at them. The volunteers from city council as well as the police and fire in attendance. Spark the Park has kicked off and actually been completed. That wrapped up last Friday, both at Veterans Park as well as we did the lights over here at Goose Pond as well. Ugly Sweater,
By the way,
They were
really
yeah.
wonderful. Really nice. Yeah.
Ugly Sweater Run took place at City Hall on December 14th. In partnership with SB3C. We did a holiday cookie swap, which was a brand new thing that we did this year. Had just over 20 participants, each bring in 24 cookies. Kind of split it out. We rolled out our January wellness challenge. Basically, it's a free fitness challenge. We now have just over 180 people participating. There's weekly prizes, etc. Programming. Currently, we have petroglyphs, swimming lessons, youth basketball is completely started. Driver's education has started, as well as soccer, Sparks, which is indoor, like Pike and Kinderbro soccer. Upcoming, we have our murder mystery dinner on Friday. We have silent disco. We're trying that out next, not this upcoming Saturday, but the following.
What is a silent?
Basically, you get your own headphones and then you tune into like the DJ has, I think, like 4 different stations, so you're able to tune into whatever music you want.
Conceivably dancing to someone listening to someone listening.
Yeah, exactly. So ours, we're doing it kid based, so it's for kids and their parents. But they do a lot of them for adults, so we're trying to testing it out and then possibly do more of them.
They're not putting it up to the same frequency or same music? I thought.
Yeah, so you
they
can
did
listen,
that.
I mean, there's only a handful of different options, but you're able to tune into different things that the DJ is playing.
Okay,
And then, so we have 50 headsets in total, so we're able to do up to 50 people.
so it's whatever the DJ is playing.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Valentine Day or Valentine Dance is open. That's taking place on February 7th. Our first community dinner is scheduled for the end of February. We hosted a state like programming summit, which I talked to you guys about, with a variety of different recreation departments around the state, talking about like ways we can kind of regionally collaborate. If there's programs which we're offering that aren't running and they're offering them and they are running, can we like send our participants over to them and vice versa? Our Brew the 802 Brew Fest, our invites went out to selected breweries as of last week. Met with the airport, they're in for the flyby 5K, we're looking at beginning of October. And then that is also where we're going to be doing the farmer's market. We're gonna be using their shared use path during the summer, so that'll kick off in June and run through September. And then got a couple of new sponsorships since we last met: PC Construction, Heritage, Delta Dental, and Price Drop.
Great.
I'm just curious to know what criteria you used, Adam, to select the 20 to 25 breweries.
So it was through, so one of the panelists for the event coming up is Emma with Vermont Brewers Association. So I was working with her on partners that she thought would be a good fit for us. And then also kind of working like as close to us proximity as we can, and then working our way out. But it was also kind of using, I don't have a ton of those contacts. So it was using like Emma and Feral Distributing helped us get the point people. And then also kind of pass us along as far as, hey, these breweries would be interested, or they do this type of stuff, so.
So you personally haven't been to each and every one of these breweries.
No, I've been to a handful, but not all of them.
Yeah. Well, I want to congratulate you on the idea of having a silent disco. I think all disco should be silent.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. I think we got like 30 people right now.
Right.
It's actually great for weddings, because they can prolong the wedding time.
Yeah, that's
because-
interesting, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of weddings are using those, you know, the noise ordinances, it ends at 9 or 10, and they want to prolong it, they can do it. No noise.
The person that we're using is one of our face painters, and she like just started this business, so she's giving us a pretty good deal.
Wow.
That's great.
Nice.
Just curious, because some of you sell out a lot of events, and then some of these events are, again, like they're coming back again as new events or as recurring events. And it makes me curious, are they all just like first come, first serve, or do you have something built in to encourage like different people to
Some of
participate?
them, like the paint nights sell out very fast, the community dinners sell out very fast. What we've started to do is if people sign up and they don't get in, they add to the wait list, then we'll email the wait list before like we're promoting it. So for example, the community dinner, anyone who signed up for Thanksgiving and didn't get in, like we sent them the link before. Otherwise it is the same people, like who are seeing or like watching and they're getting it first. So we're trying to help that as much as we can.
Gotcha.
But we need more space.
Yeah, I mean, once you start getting into reviewing
Yeah.
applicants holistically, it gets very complicated very
Yeah,
quickly.
I mean, that's
So,
why, yeah, well, we've also, one thing that we've started to do briefly is a lot of our stuff, it is free.
mhm,
And the stuff that is like X amount of people, we reach out to them a few days before, like telling them a reminder and also asking if they can't come. We are now telling them, hey, if you're a no call, no show, you'll be like bumped to the wait list in future, because that's the bigger challenge is for paint nights, for example, we'll have like a 32 person cap. And we'll have 40 plus people on the wait list. And then if those people aren't showing up, like we obviously easily could have fit others in there. So we're starting to track it. If you don't come in the
Mhm.
future, you're just put on the wait list.
Are you also, it's might get even more complicated too, but are you also tracking like what part of the city people are
Yes,
attending?
not like. So, yeah, so not like program by program,
Mhm,
but we have been working with the data team
mhm.
to map out the city. And then there are some new programs which we're going to try and do this year, which we're basically going where people aren't signing up.
Great.
So one of the things that we want to do this summer, it'll be May through September. And we have to work through some of the logistics with police and fire, is like street dinners where we're actually like shutting down the street
Wow.
and doing dinners down the street. And basically we've mapped out who participates in our program, who doesn't, and we're just going to neighborhoods that are lacking.
That's great.
So out of curiosity, what are what neighborhoods are?
So we have, yeah, I mean, I can pull up. So right now, some of these honestly are gonna mean more to you all than me when it comes to names. So they're basically like streets, which we're looking at. So Mayfair is one. Lynn Avenue. I don't know where exactly. Brewer Parkway,
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh,
Fieldstone, Cobblestone. And then Upswept Lane and South Point. Like a joint Upswept Lane, South Point is where, like, these are all locations that are probably a little less participation than others, and the streets could work. Like, it also has to make sense for the, like, we're not totally shutting down an area. So that's the idea.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Brewer Parkway's a good one.
That, what's up?
Brewer Parkway's a good one.
Yeah.
Well, it's my favorite
Yeah.
street in all of South Burlington
Yeah.
for obvious reasons.
Like a design by someone completely different than never seen the town.
Yeah. But one of the other things that we're like talking about too, which I think will be cool, kind of on the data side of things, is using the grand list. And comparing it year to year. And then, so the new grand list, and I might be wrong, this comes out, I think, in April. So what we're gonna try and do is have the data team like compare it. And then anyone who bought a house in the past year, we'll do like a direct mail welcome package.
Oh, that's great.
Which we kind of,
Yeah.
So that's one other thing that we're trying to do with the
Yeah.
data side of things.
Yeah, I mean, for that, you could probably look at like PTTRs or the property file transfer tax
yeah,
returns and
yeah.
then I don't know if you do on the planning side, whether you do Bianchi reports, but that's a whole other thing
Yeah.
too, so that.
So when I was talking to Ariel and Anna
Mhm.
and the data management team,
Mhm.
they were like, yeah, we could just compare the two.
Great.
And it would give you a list of all the new homes.
So the objective of this then is to get people within those areas to really go out to these dinners. So be very
Yeah,
specific to
yeah,
the areas
yeah,
that you live in.
Yeah.
rather than like invite to all.
Yeah, it'll just be, yeah, I mean, it'll be very, very targeted, so like Brewer Parkway, I mean, it'll just be the homes on that neighborhood. More or less, I mean, obviously, like anyone can come, but it won't be something which we're like promoting
Citywide.
citywide.
Yeah,
So
just-
even like
yeah.
Rec on the Go to some extent, we do promote citywide, because the majority of them, they're at the schools or the parks. This one, it would just be like, hey, we're going to you, directly targeting to you. And then the idea is like a community potluck, which the rec department will like, similar to what we do downstairs with the senior center potluck, the rec department will like cover the main dish, because it's not fair to like ask the residents to, hey, do a main dish.
Yeah.
But then people can bring in the sides, chips, refreshments, that type of thing.
Mhm.
One of the other conversations we just had has nothing to do with what we've been talking about, but kind of exciting, is working. So I've been in touch with the superintendent about doing a school district concert series. So doing a concert at Marcotte, Chamberlain, and Orchard, which would be a little bit different. And then we can also partner together more than we have in the past.
Mhm.
A
Yes.
concert for family.
Yeah, I mean, just to open
Okay.
more of like a neighborhood concert series, but instead of trying to find a park to do it that doesn't have parking or the utilities to do it, like the schools are fairly split up decent wise. And I mean, Orchard's all the way over there. This one is close to Chamberlain, but you have Williston Road kind of splitting you up. So that was kind of the idea behind that.
Mhm.
Because otherwise, like parks can be challenging.
Yes,
So
the parking, it's the parking.
Find the right park space wise, size wise, like all the schools have a ton of space, ton of parking. And then we can do something with them.
Great.
It's cool.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the board or the public? Okay, well, thanks, Adam. So I guess on to the next item, for the FY 26-27 budget, and I'll turn it over to
I've
you.
printed off some budgets,
Okay.
sheets, and I can throw them up online here real quick as well. So when I met with Mike to put together the agenda, he wanted to kind of highlight or go over the FY 26 budget, which is what we're currently in. And then the FY 27 budget. FY 26, we are pacing, I mean, in line with everything, not like going over. But our revenues will be drastically higher, which we're just putting back into our events. So everything is pretty much the same there. But what I printed off was the FY 27 proposed budget, which council has more or less kind of gone in favor with tonight. Actually, after this meeting is the first, like, I don't know if it's the first, but it's the public input on the budget. So they're actually gonna be talking about it at 7 o'clock today. But let's see here. I don't know, hard times. So the blue. So on the sheets, the columns, because okay, so you have FY 25 budget, FY 25 actuals, FY 26 budget, and then the proposed FY 27 is the blue column, and then you have the change, and then you have the percent change. So nothing really with the budget this year. Council wanted to keep it. I believe their goal was like 3.2%. increase on the tax rate. We went to them with our proposed budget off of that. On the rec side, basically everything got approved. So there were a couple minor changes that we kind of increased or decreased based off of where things actually fell in years past. And then there were some small tweaks by finance. But more or less, when it comes to like the general operating budget for supplies, programs, events, youth, adult, and senior, that's all based off of like our own revenue. So those numbers like are pretty fluid.
Yeah.
And this is, I didn't print off the revenue side of things. This is just the FY 27 expense lines.
I just don't understand, Adam, how the
Hmm?
group health plan has gone down year after year and is projected to go down even more in 27. That's just like contrary to everybody else's
think-
rising cost of health insurance.
Yeah, so that part, so the wages and benefits, I'll be honest, I don't touch. That's all done by finance. I think part of that is a little bit of how some of the staff is being allocated in the line items. Like where we're all falling, that's more of a finance question, to be honest. But there also, we did change the way that, and this is gonna go way over my expertise, but we're like a self-insured side of things. So the city did do some changes to it where the liability or like the deductions have gone up or the liabilities have gone up to bring down some of the group health insurance. But that's a question for Steve and Martha. That is not a question for me, because that is true. Everything like the school budget and I mean, in general, like the increases are all around health insurance.
Yeah,
Where
sure.
ours actually has gone down on the rec side of things. I don't know if that's true across the board. Well, no,
Yeah.
within the different departments, I know 100%
Yeah.
it's not true.
Yeah.
Every year it goes up. But yeah, that is an interesting thing. As far as like the admin side, like the pension, ICMA, that's all calculated by finance. I just oversee the like operating budget programs.
Are you fully staffed right now?
We are now.
Okay.
So as of May, well, I guess, yeah, it's been like 7, 8 months.
Mhm.
And then we have a seasonal employee and we have a second seasonal starting up on a Wednesday.
Okay.
What's the total head count have?
Uh,
Staff,
5.
5.
And then like seasonals, there's 2 more, but I'm not counting them
Okay.
because they're very fluid.
Okay.
They wouldn't even like equate to an FTE equivalent, and they work maybe in the winter, like 5 to 10 hours a week, maybe.
But
To the capital budget,
Mhm.
it's a big, is that the shift downward reflection of the turf field? And so it's,
So that was a shift in how some of the money's allocated. So some of the capital improvement projects, like the playground, that we're doing, now we're using, instead of just general funds for that, we're using some donation money, for that. And then it's shifting like some projects which were, general fund dollars to like rec impact fees and that type of thing. So last year there were just way more in the general fund side of things, which was the Veterans Park project, and now that money's allocated in there.
Yeah.
That includes the resurface in the basketball.
Yeah, yeah, that 250. I think it's like 240 of the 250. Those are really nice basketball courts.
So is the capital plan revenues and this included in tonight's council
Mhm.
materials? Okay.
That's actually where this document.
Okay.
Is in the council materials, so they're gonna be going over everything tonight.
Okay. Great.
So we proposed like our budget to council on December 14th, I don't know. And then they've been talking about it since then. One thing that we have put in there is some like placeholder money. Whether it's money for this year or in the future when it comes to like playgrounds, because there is still a portion of it that will be general funded. And Red Rocks money. So before we know exactly what we're gonna do with Red Rocks, I put some money in there so that it's not something that's waiting until 2028 to actually start the project. So and council agreed to that. Whether the end goal at Red Rocks is bathrooms like veterans, which are just your standard, like basic bathrooms, or if we end up blowing it out and doing like a beach house as like that's still up for debate, but we needed to put money in there for next year. Otherwise, this project doesn't start until 2028, 2029. Regardless, something has to be done for those bathrooms. So what it is right now is we can discuss, but it's got the money in there.
How much of a placeholder are you putting in?
So for next year, it's just like planning and consulting, money. It's not a ton.
Yeah.
But built out over the next 10 years, which I could pull it up, that in FY 28, there's a lot of money. So it's like, hey, you are committing to that by doing some of the planning and consulting this way. And then, so anything post FY 27, I mean, technically, once next year's budget comes, it's like all, just because it's on FY 28 this year. But if you're spending consulting money.
I see. So I see. Because when I was looking at that, I was wondering how the maintenance budget and some of the other pieces are reduced. But I can see that in past, we've not spent the full budget.
So
maybe that's why.
I mean, yes and no. There's like two maintenance budgets though, because there's also the maintenance budget on the facility side of things. Like they have some of their own maintenance budget as well.
So it's like an imperfect split.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to get the split. But
So we actually did have a meeting, facilities or DPW and Travis and I had a meeting the other day, basically to go over. It was a much bigger conversation. We were talking about baseball diamonds, but also making sure that, hey, we're communicating as effectively as possible so that the facility improvement lines, like we both know how much is in each of them at the same time, so that they can use it and I can use it more or less like them because they're the ones doing the project. But it's making sure that we're always communicating with each other.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And so the way that this works too, which I think I've talked about it a little bit, like I have flexibility on like a line item by line item. So if I can go over in portalets if we're under in maintenance or like vehicle maintenance, or you know what I mean?
I do run budget.
So
What you mean.
so it doesn't like,
Yeah.
it's never gonna work out perfectly. And I have the flexibility to kind of go over or under, as long as the bottom line is what they are looking at.
I see. So DPW's maintenance budget is.
So they sometimes pick out of here, but they also are paying out of their own too.
I see. But we don't see here in the committee, we wouldn't see what the DPW one is, because the DPW one is the one that actually does the fixing of a lot of the fixing of the park.
I mean, a lot of the parts, yeah.
But it's under the hood.
I mean, it's in
I
here.
mean, it's in here, but
It doesn't fall under the rec department.
Right, comes under something. Yeah. Now it all makes sense now. Yeah.
DPW articulate like 13% of our budget goes for parks and Rec. Just,
I mean, I could see, but the other like side of it too, though, is we have special funds, and this is what the bigger conversation was with DPW, because our special funds is where we have like more money.
checks. Yeah.
I mean, capital
Yeah.
projects, but also so field rentals. So in the past, field rentals, they go to a 251 fund because it's not general fund, like tax dollar money. That money was used to pay for the rec department seasonal field. So before I started, if you guys were involved, or you might remember, basically the way the fields were worked is like rec department did the infield of a baseball diamond, and then DPW did everything from the outfield on. And the rec department park person was paid out of the 251 fund, which the 251 fund is like, hey, your Nordic soccer, South Burlington Little League bar post, like your field rentals are going into there. Now we've shifted that position, so DPW, instead of us like going back and forth on who's maintaining what part of the park, like DPW is maintaining it, but they are paying for that employee year round. So it's in their budget. So 251 now is building up, so we can do more with it when it comes to facility projects. So that's what I was talking to DPW about the other day, was like, hey, we need to start using this money, not relying as much on the 20 grand, because that's not gonna like make or break a project, but using that money. So it's, hey, Little League is coming, so every summer we're redoing material at all of the fields out of 251 instead of wiping out 15 grand of our 20 grand in field material.
I'll just say that, well, me personally on the committee, I want to recognize your advocacy working with DPW and streamlining great communication between them and advocating for the Parks Department.
It's
so
been good, and they've been, I mean, I don't know, like how things were before. I mean, the conversations are like fine, they're open. I think what has helped is there hasn't been a, we're doing this, you're doing that, and then a constant like finger pointing at this got done, this didn't get done. And they're open to, I mean, I was talking to them about things at Overlook, which like in the scope of things, I don't think many people think about Overlook, or you don't like come to these meetings and hear people talking about the maintenance at Overlook. It's all about like your baseball diamonds, your softball, baseball. So I was proposing to them to like outsource some of the flower beds and maintenance at Overlook, and they're open to it, which would then allow for more work at like others. It's, I don't know, I think like we can be creative in this, and Tom and Adam and Dan are open to ideas and conversations. It's the same thing we did with Little League is, I mean, we've heard from Little League over and over and over and over. So all of us now kind of built out a plan of, hey, this is what we're responsible for, this is what they're responsible for. And like, but we're all communicating, which I think might have been a little bit different in the years past.
But that's a great update, and thank you for doing that.
Yeah, definitely sharing Will's thoughts on that, in comparison, it does definitely sounds a lot more constructive and a lot more positive.
Yeah, I mean, they get like, whether they need something from us or we need something from them, the communication is definitely open, so. Great. Any other questions on the budget?
Yeah, can you just send this to us? Yeah. Just a log.
Any other last thoughts? Okay, I guess we can move along to park updates. To you, Adam.
Yeah, so this will be very quick. But kind of on that, so obviously, you know, our capital improvements are handled more or less through DPW. So Farrell Park, the dog park is like done. It's still closed currently because the sod didn't like set. So the park itself won't be open until more of the springtime frame. They're worried about people getting in there and basically just setting back everything that has been done. But as far as the dog park project, that can be checked off the box.
Quick point on that, office backs up right to it. There are people that are frequently using
Yeah.
it, so I don't know if we want to use better signage.
Yeah, okay.
Not the saw.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought it was a good asset. So, but that's just an update from looking at it throughout the day, so.
City Center, that project is still moving on pace as far as the path and the bridge walkway that's going through there. I didn't get a like exact timetable update on it, but as far as the project, it's going as expected. There was a little bit of delay in the electric side of things, which is what delayed our Spark the Park down there and getting new power. But now it's good to go.
Is that DPW doing the city park? Or
Say that again?
is it Department of Public Works doing?
Like doing the work?
The work?
So down there, I want to say it's ECI is the company. There are some projects that DPW does, like DPW was heavily involved with the Farrell
Okay.
dog park because the bids came back so much higher than they were expected to. But I think this is ECI
Oh.
is the construction company that's doing that one. Don't 100% quote me.
Sorry, I lost that, so it's ongoing.
Yeah, it's still going. So if you go down there, like, I don't know if the bridges, like things are in the ground. I don't know if the bridges are built to actually go across, but
When is it scheduled?
spring is, yeah, I believe. It's on pace with what is scheduled. I don't know the exact.
I'll say spring.
Hubbard, so I reached out to Erica about everyone's favorite project. She's finishing up the bid documents. This was last week. And then it's gonna be going out to bid in the next couple of weeks to get that project going, which will be nice once that's done.
What's being put in there?
The path, the paved path and the parking lot and all that stuff.
And no lights, right?
The parking lot has lights.
Okay.
Yep. Which
So,
is, it could change, the lights, but the parking lot does have lights, but that's been a conversation that has come back a few times.
so then for construction schedule, I'm assuming we'd expect to see that completed by like 2028, 2029, or no, sooner?
Hubbard?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for getting bids now, is there a design already or?
Yeah, like everything's.
So it's all shovel ready, you're just
They
getting.
just need to do it.
Just need to do it, okay, so
Yeah.
it's
Let me
gonna,
see if
it's
I
gonna
have
be like that. Okay.
anything else from Erica.
So it's 18 parking spots, path.
Yeah,
Inches.
yeah.
Okay,
All of this year?
I'm not gonna say.
Spring of 27.
I'm not gonna say it, Dick.
Can you walk the path? Is there a path there that you can walk?
Well, that's the new one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is,
I mean, parking-
well, is that what the parking's for? Is so people can park there, maybe take their bike?
yeah, I mean,
or go-
there's the parking that's currently there, like,
Mhm.
Okay,
because there still will be the, like, other paths through there, so there's gonna be the one path that goes like all the way through, but you're still gonna have the, like, walking paths that
Okay,
people can
okay.
use as well.
okay.
But
So
we're,
like they're parking on. the
they're
road.
using that like gravel-ish parking lot that's fitting 10 cars, maybe.
Okay.
And then you can park on those streets. Those are open public streets.
And so there won't be like Overlook Park has a lot of like, you know, like you said, flower bed,
yeah.
and none of that, okay. So it's just very utilitarian and enjoying the path.
Yeah, but
walk.
it's connecting, yeah.
Yeah, and connecting if you wanted to bike.
Mhm.
Okay,
And I mean, it could be like that parking lot. I mean, we'll see. I have a meeting with Vermont National on Thursday. But what I would envision too is people using that Hubbard parking lot as like a starting point for if you're cross-country skiing or if you're using the bike path. Similar, like right now, everyone goes to Wheeler. Like Wheeler parking lot is where you go if you're starting your bike trip. No, not bike trip, but like if you're gonna go biking, there's a lot of bikers who park at Wheeler and then hop onto the bike path. So I could see people using that as a starting point too. If we are able to get into Vermont National for cross-country skiing, like there could be some starting point there. I don't really know how you would get to Vermont National yet,
Like that.
but
I'm just so glad you mentioned that, because that feels like that's part of like future planning of like making sure there's enough unpaved path that gets pretty close.
yeah,
back down
because
to
that's, yeah, because it would be, you have to be able to get there,
Yeah,
and that is part of it.
Kind of reaching here that maybe Ryan, you might know, there's no plan to connect the gap at Overlook on the bike path on like that incline where Overlook is and the endpoint at Nolan Farm is there? Because there's no bike
So there-
path, so, because there's no bike,
sidewalk.
yeah, because there's no bike
Uh,
infrastructure there, so.
Wait, okay, where?
So you know how you have Overlook at the top and I don't know how to describe this, but on that Overlook Drive at the corner of Overlook and Spear, and you have the incline
Mhm.
for Overlook that's right next to Overlook Park. There's no protected bike facility. There's no separate bike facility.
Gotcha.
So there hasn't been any thought
Yeah.
about connecting that so that way there's a complete facility.
That I have.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't even think that came up with the active transportation
Yeah.
plan where they did gap analysis. I don't think that even got
That
flagged.
hasn't been.
Yeah.
Are you talking about just the span to Overlook or the Deerfield gap between the side trail into the orchard?
Just that Deerfield gap. I assume there wouldn't be just because the vehicle trips are too low. That it's not that big of a concern, but it is an unprotected area. So for anybody who, and it's an incline.
I'm just not following, so. Is it sidewalk going down? Overlook?
Yeah, so there's a sidewalk, but there's no place to bike.
It's not a very smooth sidewalk.
Yeah, it's not a very smooth sidewalk either, but.
Okay.
So then you'd have to go onto the street to bike and then somehow reconnect, go across Spear in order to get back onto
Mhm.
a bike facility.
Oh, I see.
Got it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So you try to say the crossing of Spear.
Mhm.
Crossing a Spear is really the big.
Yeah, because it's kind of a weird transition and then people are going 45, 50.
Mhm.
So I mean, that does affect, people who are, vulnerable populations that
Right.
that are on a bike or that are trying to roll, that are trying to connect onto a wider facility and just can't on the uphill or on the downhill.
Has that ever been a study to
Mhm.
be a traffic light?
Probably not because there's not enough trips. I mean, that would make sense, but you would have to buy Overlook to make it a roundabout.
Even if it was, there is no way to highlight that now, I'm assuming, to highlight this issue
Mm.
at this point, or is to
Mhm.
say you paint some lines on the road And
Paint is paint, I mean.
I'm just
it's-
making something
Yeah, I
up, but,
know.
but I'm gonna clearly the horses, out of this. Therefore.
Yeah,
Like, is there, is it,
That
in
has-
terms of our time and bringing something up so that it could be useful, is there something that we can do or mention or put in the minutes or anything that would be effective?
The
I
bike
would-
ped committee, I bet, is working on.
I would officially email Havla
Mhm.
and CC
Yeah.
her comment.
Yeah,
hmm. Okay,
because that hasn't been a stretch that I've ever heard anyone talk about.
right.
I mean, there's been a lot that like different portions of it, and like you bringing it up, it's probably the first time I've like
Yeah.
thought of that portion of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do, I use it all the time. I
Mhm.
hadn't even thought about it, but
Yeah,
it's true.
I mean,
You're gonna
I mean,
connect
I've
with a new
used it.
bike
Yeah.
path that's there
Yeah.
already. Why would you
Yeah.
not have these two
Yeah.
things connect?
Mhm. Yeah.
This is separate, but didn't the city just approve eminent domain on Dorset from? I think it's Old Cross to like by Cider Mill.
They were talking.
Either side of,
No,
Cider
it's like, yeah,
Okay, is that moving forward or is that?
not the first now.
Got it.
Mhm.
I know like that's been a process, but that's not
Okay,
something I'm like up to speed on, Brian.
They officially started the process. The two property owners had 30 days
Yeah.
to file an appeal, and I did not see if they did appeal or not.
got it.
Eminent domain takes time.
Yeah.
It takes so much time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions about the three parks and the park updates?
So the only question that didn't really get answered there is that Hubbard's going through. But we don't have a timeline, that initially was said that it's gonna happen this fall.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a,
Okay.
and she didn't give me a specific timeframe. for it.
Yeah, I think different bids might have different time
Good.
frames.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll probably know more after I would assume
Yeah.
that we would know more after we selected a bid.
Mhm.
And in that bid package, it probably would specify when they have an estimated completion date.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
Yes.
I mean, I think it's off the record safe to assume it will happen during this construction season, but then again, we won't know until we actually we see the bid package. I mean, Ryan, you're kind of
I just like your dance that.
this is me trying to be like wishy-washy. So, but yeah, I that's what I figure based off the information in front of us.
Erica didn't give me specifics.
Yeah.
You're all welcome to join me as a member of the public this Wednesday at the Bike Ped Committee meeting in your board. 5:30 to 8.
All right, I think it's safe to say that we can move on to,
Yeah.
is that policies, priorities, strategies?
Yeah, so that really was more of a just putting it on the radar. So like there's always been kind of a little bit of a not like set in stone when the committees are putting together the policies, priorities, and strategies. So this year, like we're getting things to council. It's like May 8th is the deadline that staff is. So they're also wanting committees to go with that staff. Like, so instead of like in years past, committees have been doing their policies and priorities after the policies and priorities have already been like sent out. So I would imagine, and this would be up to like Mike, but March, April, like
Yeah.
are two meetings that you guys should be working on those.
For that, do we need to know council's policies, priorities in order to
We'll
frame
have
ours?
some of them, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
but it's just putting it on the radar that it's gonna be way earlier than we have in the past.
It's better.
So then would council then review them in May and
Yeah,
adopt them
yeah.
before July 1? Then?
No,
Ish.
they're gonna stop them.
Or like,
But yeah,
yeah.
they want them to review.
Okay,
I think they're like. We need stuff submitted like May 8th is the deadline, whether when they're gonna review them, it might be late May, early June or something, but. That's the time frame for when ours have to be in.
could you send around the current policies, priorities, strategies as like a baseline?
Yeah, that'll be really helpful.
Not only like ours, but also councils?
Yep.
Thanks.
And could we see the open space priorities too?
Like NRCC.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Well, no, the other committee.
Natural resource
Yeah,
conservation?
NRCC.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry, I was thinking of the
Yeah.
acronym. Because I think, well, we're gonna go into master plan a bit later,
Yeah,
but I do think like, just like, let's try to understand how everybody's doing stuff.
Mhm.
Look in other committees so that we're not like trying to reinvent the wheel separately.
Mhm.
So we can understand like how things fit together. I think that would be, I know our chair is not here, but I think that would be helpful for us to do it in a way that's constructive.
Okay, so then I guess I'll also tack on another one on that point too, maybe
Okay.
adding on like bike ped
Oh yeah,
to
of
that
course.
too. So maybe
Good separate.
those, if we look at those four, then maybe we can come up with some with policies and priorities that are pretty holistic, that are thinking about how we can interact and mesh with the other committees.
And I don't know. We want a high level of coherence with the master plan.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
on our agenda later.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then last thing before we move on to master plan update. Is council looking at the city plan or any other guiding like strategic vision document?
Yeah, I
And
mean, the
connecting
city
it?
plan
Okay,
guides the
Okay.
policies, priorities, and strategies, yeah.
okay. Yeah. I think we can look up the city plan before that, but maybe just a link to.
Yeah, I
so,
mean, there's,
yeah.
and like on the rec side of things, like the city plan, I mean, there are very specific bullet points,
Mhm.
that like internally I go off of, which would be nice to have kind of you guys go off of
Great.
as well, and that's also what council is going to be building their policies, priorities, and strategies off of.
Yeah.
The city plan.
So you already have maybe a couple that you're kind of
Mhm.
prioritizing,
I
thinking
mean,
about.
there's some things also that like are automatic, and I don't know exactly if they were in there, but like from the city plan where it's, I mean, even if you're focusing on programs, like increasing program participation, XYZ, like
Yeah.
some of those are in there, but then there's the like community gardens was one in the past, which we haven't like totally done it, but we've alleviated some of it with JC Park, at least in the short term. I mean, some of the other city plan, like rec goals are the quarter mile, which can be up for debate as far as how that was decided and how it's implemented, but there's projects in there that are, I mean, it's.
Yeah. There's a connection.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, there's main bullet points that we focus on,
Mhm.
so they can kind of roll into that as well.
Great. Any other questions on policy strategies? Before we move on? Yeah, Ryan?
I will say, I really like how on top of the city plan Jesse is, and making sure that things get disseminated back down and come back in from that point. I think it's very official and great. You guys also have like a charter document that says what you guys are sort of like at purview to do in a more general way. And I think it's really good to look at that in comparison to what is already in that master plan. There was some drama with another committee going like really far into like the maximum scope that they thought they had with their charter, as opposed to like doing things with the direction of the city plan, and that caused a little kerfuffle. But I still think it's really important to like most of the committees have something that asks for you guys to like bring important things to them. And so you do have that opportunity in that process to sort of bring up those things. And then they might not get approved by the city council, but they might get like bike racked or whatever. And so at least it helps to like give you sort of that longer arching thing.
That is like kind of echoing on that too. And this is kind of a conversation I briefly had with Mike when we made the agenda. Like, I would like to see this committee not in the essence of like bike and ped or NRCC, but it would be nice to see this committee coming to council with resolutions or things in general that I haven't seen this committee. And I think it's part of like building like a stronger PPNS for, hey, this is what our goals are for the upcoming year, where like last year's, I mean, it was done well after. I don't even know if this committee technically, honestly, did a PPNS because it was so late. But I would like, and this is like on Mike, but there are things that this committee could be going to council for, which I would like to see more of.
Yeah, I was like that. Like what you said.
Or even just like as things come up. I mean, similar to like but like we've talked about quite a bit the pickleball issue in here. And then when I get brought to city council to talk about it, like I'm giving my view of it.
Yeah.
But like your committee's talked about it routinely. You've had people come in and talk about it. Like it would have been, it's an opportunity for the committee to share, hey, this is our view.
Yeah,
of-
you're in an awkward position because then council is asking you, what is your
Yeah,
committee
which is
think?
fine. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I'm like also there for.
Right.
Like you guys are listening to the public.
Yeah.
So it's another like ear for council when they're trying to make their decision. Well, what does the Rec and Park Committee think about this? And like, what did you guys think about the hour change? Or like,
Yeah.
they could have bounced some of this off of you as well.
Yeah.
But
Adam, are there other examples besides pickleball that you think of off the top of your head that you'd like to see
I mean,
committee?
I think like pickleball, Mike was talking about, I mean, it's not like you're like jumping into it, but like Bike and Ped has taken a pretty solid lead on the electric motorized scooters or bikes, etc. But I think, I mean, that's something that you guys have talked about. What it's not exactly your committee, but that would be something in particular. I know, even like the Hubbard Park side of things, I think like this committee has some opinions. It turns oftentimes into Mike at city council, but I don't know if it's always in the form of the Rec and Park Committee or if it's in the form of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where like you guys have like a voice in this. The other thing that I'd love to, and I'm not like making your PPNS, but I've said this over and over too, is the indoor rec center. Like we talk about it all the time. But no one's ever going to city council to talk about it. Which would be like another thing that you guys could. But it's just, yeah, it's just like we always talk about it. Lori's in here, but the conversation isn't happening at city council with everyone all the time. Like obviously everyone knows like that's an area. But
in a public forum, or you get on their agenda and draft a resolution?
Well,
But I guess this is-
no,
I
but
don't-
this is.
but it's like
helpful because-
starting that conversation, Cause if this committee isn't the one like starting it,
Yeah.
it's not just gonna happen overnight.
But this is where I think there's the segue with the master plan.
Mhm.
And part of like how I've ordinarily built things in my mind, right or wrong, is, part of CRO is collecting community data.
Mhm.
And so, and having this plan gives us opportunity to come forward and say, the community has said that they want an indoor rec facility. Like, that's
Yeah.
pretty clear. And so having the plan
Yep.
will give us, I mean, we can go in and start a conversation, but then it's.
No, yeah, I
Question
agree,
is
but
how
it's,
much of it-
yeah, it's, no, I think there's like, both have to go hand in hand. But it's once this like roadmap is laid out,
Then we have
then
to
you can't
use the
rely on just
platform.
the one.
You have to
yeah,
advocate for
yeah,
it.
Yeah, but.
So that would be a good discussion.
Yeah,
when it-
and it's not like,
laid out.
yeah, it's not like I'm expecting, it does, like, it doesn't
Mhm.
make sense to just
Yeah.
go in there, like.
I guess-
During the public session
So it.
and be like, hey, we need a indoor rec center,
Great
but.
to start talking about the master plan, because I'd love to like, figure out how we
So you're saying wait for the master plan?
just say, wait, or at least get, or like,
Mhm.
they should be getting closer, but at least, or somehow get data on the
Mhm.
master planning process to support us advocating for
Yeah,
particular.
Which we can now, based off of that data, would be a good segue.
Would
Yeah.
be. Just before we do though, I just want to make sure a couple of things. So there's some like, I've been on a committee now for a while, not as long as a lot of other people in here, but like, we don't really have a lot of like due process in how to do this well,
Mhm.
how to advocate well. What's the right things making motions in this committee is like, I think I've seen maybe 2 drop out in the last year. Maybe more than that. Like we don't really do any of that.
Mhm.
There's not really any steering into anything other than the Hubbard Park debacle.
I think there was.
And I sort of
there was a
worry.
Big motion for the surface of the basketball courts, so.
No,
They've done it.
yeah, right. I would like to give you credit for that,
There's
Lee.
definitely effort, but how big of a follow through is that? I would love to see.
Well, that's the question. I think that's the question.
I would be making motions left and right, if that was the case.
Well, I think
Yeah, but
I think this is the question I think we need to ask Mike and to get maybe to help Mike. I know he's not here and I feel bad for this. So, or yourself, Sarah, as the deputy. It's like, okay, because as a committee member, I don't think I'm completely sure. And I'm not sure if everybody else is. Okay, what are the correct steps we should take? What is the time when we make a motion? What is the time when we're like, okay, now get the council and get up there and articulate accurately? Like, what are the right things to do so that we create a list and then we try to get it done?
Well, I feel that putting it the way I would say it, as a committee, we have typically, and I've been on the same amount of time as you, Alistair, we're reactive.
Mm.
We
Totally.
react to people bitching about pickleball, either pro or con. We're reactive to people bitching about Hubbard, pro or con. And we spend a lot of time reacting to things. How do we? This is where I keep thinking about the plan, like, if we have a plan, then we can say cherry pick, here are the parts that we need to.
I mean, personally, I think it's a little different, like, I mean, when I heard news that the hours were being restricted at pickleball courts, like, none of us were informed. And I made a point during that meeting that specifically to Lori, if he's our liaison and they're gonna restrict hours. And I have neighbors or friends asking me, why is this park closing? Like, I wanna have an answer for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you advocating yourself in these meetings to actually get an answer, I think is a good way to go about it, or motions, or just, like.
Let me put some structure and try to reset a little bit. So there's the proactive side of advocacy that I think Adam is talking about, right? With policies and practices and strategies that I think maybe on your end, you might need to add a bit more scaffolding for us.
Well, yeah,
And so in order to,
I think this committee without like, I don't think this committee is gonna be like a giant policy committee.
No,
But I think there can be a
I
high
agree.
presence at
So,
city council.
and trying to go off of the proactive part too. So I think this committee is a little bit different from like bike and ped and conservation commission, just because those committees have certain amount of agency that's like written in, and certain amount of agency that they can make those types of requests for like grants, make those types of requests for like open space fund usage, or even like I don't know if our natural resource conservation committee does trail maintenance, but that's typically part of a responsibility for conservation commissions in Vermont. So that itself lends itself to some like direction and being more proactive and having more agency and acting upon it. And then with that too, that kind of comes with how to speak for oneself in front of city council, right? So I think for us, I mean, a little bit, I think this is going to help us, right? This master plan in terms of road mapping, at least for being more proactive and helping us to get more structure and how to be more proactive now that we have a platform, right? And then there's a second part, which is the reactive part of it, right? Which, as you've talked about, with how do we react to pickleball with the reduction of hours? How do we react to changes? And that part is going to have to be a bit more work on us to keep tabs of all the discussions that have been happening. Years ago, I think each of us used to be tasked with reading the minutes of different committees per month and then coming back and seeing what were different committees talking about and are they talking about things that pertain to this committee, and how do we react to that, and how do we step in if we need to react. And that is it. I mean, that's a very gigantic task for us to be like, okay, how do we collectively respond to what like planning commission is talking about this month? How do we collectively respond to what the DRB might be talking about this month? I think that itself is like really big for us to like grasp into, but maybe if we take like smaller steps with that reactivity and try to like focus in on like, what is just council talking about this month? Is there anything for it that council is talking about this month that we should react to, right? So I mean, that's kind of how I've seen our conversation, and I think we need to think of it in those two poles.
It's a very, very important discussion to have.
Mhm.
And it's been occurring to me in the 1 year that I've been on the committee is what is the function of the committee and what are its goals in terms of producing a product that is of use to the city council and of benefit to the rec and recreation department and in the city parks. And the one thing that has stood out has been this master plan, which has been in place, over the course of before the last year. But Brett makes an excellent point. Most of what we do is reactive, and it is not, that's not a bad thing to do, but I don't think much time has been spent thinking about what the structure and function of the committee should be and what it should be trying to accomplish over the course of the year, other than supporting Adam in the programs that he's running.
So I think those are going to be important conversations that we have, especially as we figure out our policies, priorities, and strategies over the coming months about not only how do we engage reactively in a responsible manner and in a responsive manner to things that we can grasp onto, right? And then how do we have agency and be more proactive, especially with the master plan coming into place, and how we can support Adam more in his work and be more proactive with the policies and priorities and strategies that we set up for the coming year.
Agree with all of this.
Mhm.
One question I have, and it kind of ties into what you were saying, Will. Yeah, as I understand, part of our goal is our charter is to advise council. Yet, we're never asked as a committee, like, how do we as a committee, and maybe this is having a conversation with Lori as our liaison, play a better role of advising council? in terms of both of those pillars that you're talking about, so that when pickleball hours come up, that they think, oh, this is a resource, we can, have they entertained this conversation? And I'm, so I don't know how to, in addition to supporting Adam, but it's also
Yeah.
advising.
I just think about agency, like, I don't know, I think. Like, a great question, I just ask myself, or anyone can ask yourself, like, I guess, why are you serving on a committee? I don't think it's for me to serve on a committee myself, it's to represent neighbors, people that are a community member. And, you know, if someone sends me a photo or has a concern about something, park related, I'm the conduit to this committee to speak about it and bring it up.
Basketball surface.
Yeah, would like to get that addressed. Because I'm trying to advocate for our constituents. So I think, I know we can discuss framework and whatnot, but I think we really need to actually advocate for, you know, what people are discussing in the community to take action and see change.
Yeah. I agree with that, because there are going to be asks by council when they ask, right? There's going to be a top-down conversation if Lori comes to us and says, what do we think about X, Y, and Z?
Yeah.
But it's also, as an advisory committee, right? We provide that advice that maybe there's a blind spot, maybe because who we're talking to is going to be completely different than who council is talking to, right? So I think it's having council understand that and us understanding of how broad our footprint is in terms of stakeholders, and then bringing that to council, and making that known to council too. So it's so that's part of the advocacy piece.
So should we start looking at minutes for the reactive piece? I mean, we could just easily watch on video on YouTube. It's easy enough to watch the minutes. The city council minutes. I don't think that's too much to ask. You can have it on kind of while you're doing something, have it running.
You can speed it up too.
You can, yeah.
An interesting idea, is there any point where the chairs of committees get together and just provide updates on what their committees are doing? Without
Oh, this is
being
something
like
that's
a thing.
That's been something discussed, yeah,
Okay.
but not since since I've been here, there's never been
Whenever
I
I've
don't know what you would call it, but
Yeah.
yeah, where everyone's
in
coming
my
together.
experience, whenever I've tried to organize something like that, it's
Yeah.
extremely difficult to get all the chairs in
And,
one room.
I mean, kind of on Cindy's point, I don't even watching, you can speed them up, but it doesn't even always have to be watching,
Yeah.
just reading through the minutes would save time to do. I mean, you can do those. And then you can cherry pick there's 95% of it, you can tune out a little bit for this committee.
No offense, I would hate watching this.
Good now.
We want to be more
Yeah.
reactive, and then the proactive, I think, makes sense, and city plan will guide us. But
And,
be
I mean,
proactive, and we're trying to be proactive in
It's
writing the city plan,
not,
right?
I mean, it's not something too where it's I've been here 2+ years. I mean, I've only gone to city council 7 times, maybe in 2.5 years. So it's not like I'm going there. It's not like you guys would be going there often. But in 2.5 years, I haven't seen Rec and Park committee there.
But I guess that's where I think personally for me, I'm having a difficult time is I could speak my mind about it, 1,000 things to them. But I don't want to misrepresent the voice of our committee on what we're agreeing upon.
No,
So
I think
that, what Mike's.
I mean, Mike would
There's a lane of.
I mean,
me speaking personally, but where does that divide? So I think that's where I have hesitation on going, because I don't want to misrepresent someone else's.
No.
viewpoints that
I
doesn't-
mean, it wouldn't be like you coming individually
Yeah,
speaking for, it would be
like.
the committee presenting on activity. Similar to the housing committee, last week, and whether like council goes with it or not. Like that was the housing committee's stance.
I'm all for it. I just want to make sure we formulate something tangible that everyone's in agreement, like, and it's like. And I think back to the master plan, that's something we can, you know, have teeth to then speak about, say, an indoor recreation facility.
Yeah, I mean, that was just like one thing. Yeah, are you great? Yeah,
I really like this discussion. I think it's an important one. I think if we go back far enough, that things were kind of loosey-goosey, and the city council kept making different committees to sort of like sub-delegate things. And so now we have like a really professional city manager who has her feet solidly under her and is hiring a really good staff. And I think that's a good time and opportunity for you guys to also get things more serious and getting like more productive in how you function within the framework that Jesse is helping to set up. So I really like what you're saying about like, you know, you're sort of this outreach further into the community about this really specific topic, and you're trying to bring that in to this level, and you're thinking about how do we bring this level up to the next level. And one thing that somebody mentioned that I think needs more reiteration is that you have a council liaison. And he is the council liaison for 2 committees. And I wouldn't even want to guess the number of how often people on that other committee are contacting him. Right, like the advocacy from that other committee is very high. Whether it's representing them as individuals or the committee, that is always there, and a lot of them are going to, I shouldn't say a lot of them, some of them are going to lots of other city meetings. And like make sure that their voice is heard, almost to the detriment of other voices. And so I think there's a lot more that you can do to be like, to ask from your council liaison, both in terms of what you want coming back to you guys from communication, and also what you want to keep sending there. And then the only other thing I would say is that on your website, it does state a mission and a duties and purpose of the committee, but it does not link to the charter that you were created under. And I have noticed in the past that, and this could also be the old webpage, I don't know, because I Googled it, but like I've noticed in the past that sometimes the charters do not actually match the information that is on the websites. And so I think if Adam's able to get the original charter and share that with you guys, that would be like distinctly insightful beyond just this information of if people are interested in joining your committee.
I think like Ryan made a good point there too. In like, it's one thing to go to, and we just like refer going to council. But like when you were mentioning, I mean, like in PED meetings, like if there's things that they're talking about that this committee, I mean, we have like in PED members coming to this one when they see something on the agenda that's of interest to them. And vice versa. I mean, same thing with NRCC. It could be our committee, like if there's things on their agenda that is of interest, it would like, whether it's Mike or someone else, to at least also provide them with, when they're making policies or decisions on things that are of interest to the Rec and Park, like, hey, this is, and that, I mean, then requires like being proactive on what they're talking about and going through their minutes to see what's coming up. But that's a way for the Rec and Park Committee to kind of also, if that's kind of what you're mentioning, I think just look
Yeah.
at.
It's very much occurred to me during the master planning meeting, when Laurie spoke about how the NRCC and us are always at loggerheads on everything. And how he interpreted it as there's a lot of animosity and a lot, it's not there's not necessarily a lot of understanding between the two committees about they both have different agendas. We both have different agendas, but I don't think we fully understand each other. And it did occur to me, like during that meeting, I thought, yeah, we're kind of steering ourselves into like an us versus them conversation almost continuously. And I would much rather us get away from that so that we can, and I think that's part of my thinking as well afterwards was we don't ever go to their meetings. We don't even know what their agenda is. Honestly, if we could talk about every bit of their agenda, I don't think that's all. We could talk about what exactly it is.
Mhm.
And they don't come to ours. And maybe there's this is personal thinking here, but like some kind of olive branch opportunity with the current state of the master plan, which hopefully we'll get to in the last 10 minutes, to like, all right, we got at least a year or two. Can we work together, not work together, but understand each other in a way that can like help us,
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
do
it's
what
not
we want to
one-
do and what they want to do.
It's not one bucket or the other.
The park is a
Like,
park,
we've
it's a
been-
park.
And like
Okay,
what we were kind of
well,
talking about, I mean, there's elements of like JC, it's not like it fits into both. There's the
Yeah.
active side of it, but there's also the open space natural side of portions of it. So
Since we're moving to the next agenda topic, do you want to just give an overview of the master plan update
Yeah.
first as just some agenda setting foundation?
I'll go and then Alistair, if you want to fill it off there. So we had the master plan meeting December 6th, December 14th. I don't know the exact date, but the open house. So CRO presented at that point, and that was a lot of the info that they've kind of taken from the survey, the public open house, as well as the Rec and Park Committee, the NRCC meetings. They went to the Planning Commission was another one that they went to. It was a very, very long presentation with a lot of ideas on both if you want to look at it, the active side as well as the open space side. What it was semi lacking was the data to kind of, if you start peeling back some of the recommendations, the data to support or like, hey, if we're going to city council, the master plan is proposing adding 2 new regional parks. So you have the neighborhood regional community parks. Through the feedback it's gotten, we need more regional parks. Is there the space and the ability to add some? So as we were starting to like peel back the recommendations, I think they've done a good job of taking in the info. But the data support the analytical side to actually, and I think this will help with bridging the gap between the two. Is right now they've taken the feedback, and they've put it into a plan, but they need to analytically paint the picture in a better way that when you go to council, it'll help actually guide. So like if you were to break down one of the concerns that we've had, and Alistair, you can kind of jump in, is off of the December presentation. If you were to look at all of the projects which they propose, it would come in at probably about $100 million. And there's no like skeleton to like prioritize that. I mean, this would take decades to do. So that's where we've kind of, so they were supposed to come, they did the December presentation, they were supposed to go to council. We kind of put that on a pause until there's more like ability to answer factually to the support of what these proposals are providing. Not, they have done a very good job of like taking the feedback, and now there's the taking the feedback from all the different committees, all the surveys, all the input, and using the professional judgment and the support of like the numbers, where things are going as a city, and actually painting the picture, not just putting everything into, I don't know if that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
So kind of where we're at, we, instead of going to city council or even bringing them to this meeting, and they were supposed to go to NRCC in January as well, we have put a pause on it until there's a game plan of really like diving into why and how some of these proposals will be done. There hasn't, it's not like I think they've put very pro rec things, and there's been a lot of things with like some of the diagrams that I've liked, and there's obviously also been open space side of things. But I think to go forward, when you go to council to help guide the future, especially on the rec side of things, there needs to be the statistical analysis of what and how and why, not just, hey, you have a active option and a open space option. What's going to be the priority? No, you need to like actually through data prove what's the best alternative. And then that will also help, I think, bring the two sides together, as well as not have it so it's just the voices. I mean, what we've kind of been saying over and over is the loudest voices. We're the people who have the like ears more often, or are reaching out to or are at city council. Like if you're using the numbers, that's going to cut through
The noise.
that, and it'll give more, at the end of the day, like the master plan could say one thing, city council can do something totally different. I mean, it's their prerogative and ultimately their discretion. But I think to have a plan that's driven by data on top of the feedback that they've gotten from the community, I think it's going to have a much like larger standing or something to fall back on than, hey, we got a lot of feedback on this, we got a lot of feedback on this. Well, how do you like determine what's the priority? And that's right now, it's just been a lot of the public feedback, which has gone in, and don't get me wrong, like that's a huge element of it. But when you start peeling it back, it's kind of missing the analytical side of what's
So
capable and what
It sounds like everybody's wish list put together so that everybody is happy, except that it doesn't have any teeth because it doesn't have any backup. Is this available online? Can we actually see?
so the public, the December 6th, I think it might be on the website, otherwise I can send it around to everybody.
That'd be great.
It's not posted, but that presentation. But so that's where, and Alistair, you can jump in. So the other day, we had a meeting it was, NRCC, Jessica, or Jesse,
To Jessica, yeah.
Planning Commission, Jesse. Alistair was there. And then it was kind of the like internal team, which is Kelsey, Paul Connor, Silken, and I. And then Jesse, the city manager, as well as Lori. And we had that meeting, which I do understand, like, it's kind of been since December, pretty quiet because of that. We've kind of been waiting to like have that meeting, and we didn't want something to go to council that could start like with some hard questions and start
Yeah.
like peeling back. So we had this conversation to like take what's like kind of just putting a pause on it to figure out like how are we going to get the analytical side before it keeps going, whether that takes more time.
So could I ask like what specifically are the data gaps? Is it like movement data? Is it like trips or?
It's strategic the alignment between expectations between the city and what was delivered. Between in terms of like, can strategy be built based on the analytics? Could it be verified and propped up by the analytics? And the answer is no. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure in that meeting, just observing what was happening, that CRO were able or have the capability to be able to come up with the high level strategic direction. It was more about the practical, let's put a park here and a park there and a thing here and a thing there, and it all came to this large budget number. So I think there's tell me if I saw that wrong, but in the room it definitely appeared that there's definitely a very big misalignment between what strategically should the city do for parks, recreation, and open space as a overall strategy, and then they came back with more of a here's a practical implementation of parks on the ground.
Oh,
Even like, I mean, one of the biggest things which has been challenge, which we've like had communications with them, is like the future housing density maps and growth, and hey, this is where stuff is going, and then using that to determine, hey, we need more neighborhood parks or community parks. And there's been some that like it's not even like we're not even using, or what hasn't been used is like, is there a space for these parks? Like, sure, we could use a neighborhood park, we could use a community park. Is this doable? And then kind of off of that, it's, hey, here are the wish lists. Like, how is it determining what the like number one priorities are?
so
there it's
is-
been.
one question I had was, so what is one of the deliverables supposed to be a map that's supposed to replace our official map on the planning side? So then it would be like the map that would state exactly the spaces that we would have right of first refusal to put a park.
So we have shied away from specifically pinpointing parcels, because
Okay,
then all we're
yeah.
doing is just
That just creates chaos.
creating chaos and
Yeah.
just driving up the cost of, oh, if everyone knows that you want this parcel. So it's been more of like a general area, but we've told them not to put, hey, this X parcel is gonna be the park that you want, because all that's gonna do is,
But the other,
that's the same like conversation that we're talking about the city green is, like, everyone knows where we wanna put it.
Well, I should
So
say
it's just drive up the cross.
so the other thing that, you know, with some of the existing parks, I thought they got kind of granular about like, put this in this park, put this in the, like, which
Well,
has also created some dust up. I mean, I understand, but one of the things that I also find interesting is when the project was contracted, there was gonna be a rec plan
mhm.
and an
So
NRCC plan.
that
And
was-
at this point, it's.
Well,
merged.
so that's part of kind of the conversation is doing the two plans. Is that now just making it even more? You're either a
Yeah,
active park
it's-
or you're an open space,
No, I
where
can see that.
every single park technically falls into, I mean, not every single one. But like JC is an active park. It does have elements of
Yeah.
open space. So in this plan, there should be the open space conservation side of there's like I don't know how it was
Yeah,
described.
no, it was
the
definitely
other
like
day,
that. It
but
was,
like
yeah, it was like that.
um, I mean, you can have like your pesticide controls can all fall under
Yeah.
one, that would be under an active park, but technically that would hit like the NRCC side of things, like how we're maintaining these properties. It doesn't have to be one plan or the other.
No, I agree with that. I guess the part that I react to, and that's there, like they're, as Leo put it, well, they put everybody's stuff into a pot and try to keep everybody happy.
I mean,
There were
the
10 recommendations, there's way too many.
one, well, so that was part of what Mike wanted to briefly talk about. I mean, like one of the other things, and I don't know, like how deep I should go, but so like they've been getting a lot of feedback on like what's needed in the parks. And they've heard a lot about like pickleball. So then there's different types of different parks, which is what we've had in the plan like all along to help like define what's a pocket park, what's a neighborhood park, what's a regional park, what's a community park. And they've done like good work when it comes to, hey, these are the things that kind of fall into a regional park. These are things that fall into a neighborhood park, etc. But as an example, for the pickleball, then they've kind of taken that idea and now they've dropped it into like every single park.
Yeah.
So it was then dropped into, hey, we should do pickleball courts at JC, we should do them at Farrell, we should do them at Veterans.
And
So,
big one.
well, but like, it's not all, like matching, and if you have them at Szymanski, then the population that's going to Szymanski, you don't need them. Like if they're staying at Szymanski, you don't need them at Farrell. It's the same group of people. So it was like kind of like, hey, this is what we heard, and then not using like, okay, looking at I mean proximity, and then also like a community of South Burlington's 21-ish thousand. Like really looking at how many of these does a community of 21,000 need, but then also like beyond that, we don't have like borders here. So people who live in South Burlington, go to Williston. So like going out a little bit further for some of these like larger scale things, like a bike pump track. What do the numbers actually say for a bike pump track?
Yeah.
Is it 1 per 100,000? Well, then we have it in this general area. Sure, we don't specifically, but like, do we need, like, we want it, but like, we're the same as a, like Greater Burlington is the same as a lot of just cities.
Mhm.
Like, sure, it might not be South Burlington having a splash pad, but like, what do the numbers say for how many? But then at the same time, and now this is gonna kind of contradict a little bit, but also like, hey, we are the second biggest city. So we do have to step up for some of these things.
Well, I think it was really evident in the room that there was definitely a misalignment on what the deliverables were supposed to be. Like clearly laid out in terms of like, you know, like you said, I might get a map of all the parks and you're going to drop the things into the parks that we want in those parks. Or is it a high level strategic document that says, hey, the parks director doesn't control all of the budget. That's directed by this level, and there's some mismatches. Are they supposed to come and be, and that's kind of what we talked about in the meeting too, is like, who is the customer? I think Jesse said that as she was leaving as well. So like, who is the customer of this study? You can say the things that we can't say internally. These are the things that you can bring to argue the case for this based on the data that was collected. But what happened was, almost in a way that almost I see parks and the conservation side running is loudest voice in the room tends to get something built or not built. And so they went straight to what's the loudest thing in the room? Let's make sure we drop those things in because they appear to be almost on the outside to be the customer rather than what does the city actually want and define and what does it want to have delivered. And I know, well, Jessie said she left, which we haven't said, I probably should. But Jessie said when she left, she said, we owe the committees a response within the next, is it 2 weeks?
Couple of weeks, yeah.
In the next 2 weeks of what will happen next. Because they said basically, the data is great, we got lots of data. And we don't want to get rid of the data because the data is all there and collected. But the way that the data is being used is not the way that it should have been used. And how can we now retrofit what we've got either with this consultant or not? It appeared underlying the conversation. I can say that, but he can't say that. But you could see there is a disappointment in what was delivered to a point where how can we make this work with this consultant or not?
Well,
I mean, I just,
because
like,
you guys are talking about.
I think I
data,
should say that.
But I think what you're mentioning is just, they lack statistical data. They didn't see how many need.
I mean, they're not,
No,
like,
no.
no, I think we're saying.
No, it's interpretation of it.
I mean, it's interpreting, like, yeah, I mean, it's,
Statistical, we need like.
yeah, I want, like,
We
we
need a
need
little
more
bit
when
more
you start peeling
information.
back, why are we putting a
Yeah,
pickleball court here? Why are we putting this here? Why are we prioritizing something over something else? There has to be meat to what the priorities are.
The conclusion I'm drawing is that the project is only half complete when they should have provided something that was way more complete, and
so
that's the
we- So
disappointment.
basically, so after December 6th or 10th or 14th, like the presentation. There's been, I guess, like kind of some different opinions of how the December presentation like went from externally coming in. Like there was a ton of info there. And there is good info like within it. It's just when you see what's propping it up, the support of it isn't where we would feel comfortable. And them going to council it, and like they were supposed to go to council right after that.
She didn't do that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So you're asking for more reasons for their.
Yeah, I mean,
their
like,
plans.
especially when, and this was like, I mean, it's been the whole time, which is part of like, we have to figure it out. Open space versus active, like, I mean, that is kind of a challenge. And like, to Alistair's point, like, is there a way to, like, when we started this project, the goal was to kind of help bring those groups together. But when you're just using like input from the public or surveys, then it just turns into the loudest voice and not trusting what's actually needed.
Yeah.
And then now I don't know exactly where I was gonna go with this.
It seems like there's just not enough baselines.
There's not enough baselines because to me, like part of, and I've said this before, some I'm saying it, like from the active side, this plan has to have some backing to what it's saying, to support the active side, because the voices aren't a side. So you need to like have some basis for why it's saying, hey, this is important, not just we've heard from this, we've heard from that, we put it both into the plan. Well, why?
Yeah.
So,
And
But,
attached to the reality of the budget.
Yeah.
well, that was, I mean, that's the other part. I mean, when you have, I mean, if you wanted to buy all of these parks, I mean, like I don't know if that's what it, but it's gonna cost a ton. So like, okay, now how are you prioritizing with, hey, we have this in our budget? Like what?
This is where the strategic piece is missing.
Yeah.
This is where the top level strategic piece is missing,
But
because that's the bit
to,
that would
I mean,
help with that.
I mean, Alistair's point too is like this plan using the consult, like that should be bringing the two sides together.
Yeah.
Based off of like, hey, we've taken both voices. Here are the like numbers, what's possible, what you actually need in comparison to what the percentages show.
So
And then like painting that picture.
I mean, I think the part,
And they're able to say stuff that like, not say stuff, I mean, everyone can say this, but they're able to say the harder conversations
That's what you
of
did.
what's really
That's what
Yeah.
they're there for. That's
Yeah.
then,
when it comes down to it, we talked to this committee and NRCC. Everybody would agree, we need open space and we need active recreation. I don't think anybody would disagree with either of those. It's the question of how do we prioritize what goes where and scarcity resources.
and so I mean, like part of it, kind of the conversation like last week, which Alistair was in, was, I mean, we need to, at the end of the day, this has to be right. And this is gonna be a guiding document for the next 10 X amount of years. So, I mean, and Lori is downstairs, so he was in the meeting. But if this does slow this process down a little bit, but at the end of the day, give us the info that we really need to come out of this project, then taking a break to get it right is
the right thing to do.
like the right thing.
So were the open space folks also disappointed with the product?
Yes.
So they haven't been excited about it.
Okay.
Planning commission, I'm not gonna speak for them, but if you want to. She wasn't.
It's like it's useless. I mean,
yeah.
it's like this is useless.
Yeah, I mean, on the
This
planning
is the
side,
gist of
it
it.
sounds-
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to be political about it, but like
Yeah.
it's pretty much like unilaterally around the room.
I mean, from
this has
the,
got
from
great
the
data.
from the planning commission,
But
I
it's
mean,
just-
it's important in the sense of like, okay, we can see we need both. But from their side of things, like, how are they prioritizing off of this plan? Right now, it's just saying, hey, you need everything.
And pick and choose, pick and
Maybe-
choose.
I would, like, do we need more selective active parks or an indoor rec facility in terms of picking and choosing? Because I think. about
Well, so that's
scarce
part of
resources,
the-
like, that's a big question.
That's part of the data which, like, I've been pushing, and like, there's the elements of, okay, do you need more? I mean, you can go into the indoor rec center, but also like, a lot of times we talk about, do we need more, what we call them rectangular fields, I mean, you're like soccer, lacrosse, et cetera. If you look at like per capita for a city of 21,000, like, we technically wouldn't. But, and so if you look at like the charts, it says we're at like 120%. So then from this plan, you would think, okay, they don't need it. But if you actually look at like what our field usage is and the amount of rentals that we're getting internally, externally, both from South Burlington and not from South Burlington, that will paint a different picture. When it comes to like the indoor rec center, like what I've sent over and also to like support that is, here are all of our rentals from the last year and a half. This is the space which we've been given. This is the space that we use. This is like where we're not able to use space because you can't use every single day in every single facility. It's just like impossible. But here's what we're like missing. And that should paint a picture of like why we need a rec center. So there's a lot more info that has to go into it.
And are you saying that our own data that you have isn't reflected in it from the consultants gathering it and putting it forward, and that one of the weaknesses is that our on the ground data isn't in there, or is there some other data?
I think
that's not there.
I think a little bit of both. So they've like both some of the stuff that we've given them, like I know a lot of like the housing mapping and like where stuff is going. There's been, and this would be more of a conversation for Paul and Kelsey, because that's their like area of expertise, but so they've had like the back and forth dialogue on that. And then it's been the like NRPA is the like National Recreation Park Association. So that's been one area of the data that they've been using. But I think it's, you can't just take exactly what NRPA is saying. You have to implement it to
Like
us and what we
our
have. And yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, then kind of on that, there are some things where it's like using our information that we've given them that.
That needs to end up in the plan such that
Yeah.
there's weights.
Yeah,
going.
yeah, 100%. Or just like. And the NRPA data, I mean, kind of looking at what I was saying too, like, we're a city of 21,000, but Greater Burlington's X. So like, you can't always look at it as, hey, you need exactly X amount of fields. And also, if you're looking at X amount of fields, you have to start looking at where these are located. And sure, we have X amount of rectangular fields and it hits the checkbox for how many you need for 21,000, but they're not over here. They're all located over here. So sure, you might have more than you need, but you really don't, because it's not where you need them. So it's like, hey, the statistics, you're hitting it. No, we're not. If that makes sense.
I want to be respectful of people's time. I
Okay.
know we're almost close to 2 hours in this meeting. I do have like, I do have more questions, of course, but
Just look at numbers
um,
from the bottom.
yeah. So I think any questions after this, it seems like we can just relay.
I mean, we'll have like an.
We'll have more updates in the coming months, it sounds like.
That was the-
Yeah, that was a really good deep dive. Yeah, so just to wrap this up, is there any other business that we need to discuss or we're discussing at this point?
I just want to do a postscript on this. I know that Alistair and Brett have been working with this master plan for some time from the beginning. But I'm wondering, from Adam, from your point of view, is there anything that this committee can do to help bring this draft plan sort of back in line with a strategic vision that's going to result in more specific prioritized recommendations for the council to consider?
I would, and like I can kind of what Alistair says too. I mean, I think the basis of the conversation on Friday or whenever we had that conversation, like I think to answer your question, Leo, like next month.
Yeah.
Would
I would just, if it helps, I would just say two things, and then we can stop. Is basically, they will come back with a response in 2 weeks. City will come back and rule with a response for us in 2 weeks, and we'll know what that means and what their plan will be, and maybe that's our point to figure out what a response will be. And then the other piece we want to be proactive is, hey, we don't have a master plan. Let's get proactive on what are our priorities for the next year, because this isn't going to come out in the next 3 months. It's going to take longer than that, or it appears on the surface. So that's what I would say, just to give us some action.
Okay. All right. So more discussions to come. So to wrap this up, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, Brett?
I'm just curious to know why, Mr. Hawkins, are you here just to kibitz or did you come with an issue in mind? I guess you're muted. You're not, we're not getting any volume from you, sir. There you go.
Right, there we go. Sorry, I was trying to do that earlier, but I was unable to. Since Hubbard Park comes right into our neighborhood, we're curious the status of that for one. So I got an update on that. And then the other piece was trying to understand what's going on with the master plan, because we saw some things in there we weren't real keen on. It being the park right next to our neighborhood. So seeing that that's not going to go through any imminent action here soon, kind of really got what I wanted from the meeting. Didn't really come with any specific agenda, but I do appreciate you giving me the chance to weigh in a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Leo. Thanks, Jeff. So yeah, we have motion and a second, and I think all of us are in favor. So the meeting adjourned at 7:30 for the record. Thanks everyone for coming out, and thanks for this very lively discussion.
Thank you for sharing.
Mhm.